Update 1. I stood there beneath the faded, blinding sun, squinting at the empty stretch of road where our car had been just 10 minutes ago. My wife, Chloe, and her friends, Ella, Stephanie, and Loren, were gone. At first, I thought it was one of their stupid pranks. They always pushed boundaries, testing how far they could go before I'd finally snap. 5 years of marriage had numbed me to their little games. The way they laughed at me, the way Chloe always sided with them instead of standing by me. But this felt different. My phone was still plugged into the car charger. My wallet, locked in the glove compartment. All I had was a faded t-shirt, a pair of worn jeans, and a growing ache in my stomach as time dragged on. We'd been on this road trip to Stephanie's lake house for 3 miserable days. Chloe had begged me to come, said it would be a chance to bond with her circle. I didn't want to. Her friends never made me feel welcome, always dropping little jabs and inside jokes I was never part of. But I went anyway, because I loved her. Or at least I thought I did. The gas station sat in the middle of nowhere. A lonely, dust-covered stop with a flickering sign and a single fuel pump. I'd gone in to use the bathroom, thinking they'd wait. They always waited. Except this time, they didn't. An hour passed. I paced along the cracked pavement, kicking gravel, telling myself they'd circle back any minute. I imagined tires crunching the dirt, Chloe's voice yelling, "We got you." But the road stayed silent. By hour 2, sweat was dripping down my neck. My throat was bone dry. I kept replaying the last few days. Stephanie's smirk when she spilled coffee on my lap. Loren whispering something to Chloe that made them both laugh as they stared at me. Ella's quiet watching, always with that strange little smile. I should have seen it coming. They'd been building toward this, and I'd been too blind to see it. A truck pulled up, its engine a deafening roar that yanked me out of my thoughts. The driver was a big guy, gray beard, stained baseball cap. He leaned out the window. "You okay, buddy? You've been standing there a while." His voice was rough, but something about it was kind. It hit me harder than I expected. I opened my mouth, but my voice came out dry and brittle. "They left me," I finally said, the words scratching my throat like sandpaper. The trucker squinted at me, his hand still on the wheel. "You got folks around here?" I shook my head slowly. "No. They took the car. Left while I was inside." He frowned, glanced at the station behind me like it might explain something. It didn't. It was just an empty shell. A ghost of a building meant to serve travelers that rarely came. "Hop in. I'll get you somewhere with a phone," he said. I hesitated for just a second, then climbed into the truck. The seat was hot, cracked leather. The smell of old coffee, grease, and something faintly medicinal filled the cab. He didn't ask questions right away, just turned the key and pulled back onto the road. The engine growled like it hated moving forward. "My name's Gus," he finally said. "You?" "Ben," I replied. My voice sounded unfamiliar. Weak. Hell of a thing, getting ditched like that. "You piss him off or something." I didn't answer. What could I say? That I hadn't noticed my marriage crumbling until the wheels of the car vanished into the heat haze? That Chloe's laughter had slowly grown colder over the past year? That I had stopped asking why a long time ago? Instead, I stared out the window as the desert swallowed us. We drove for about an hour before reaching a small town, a single strip of worn-down buildings with faded signs and boarded windows. Gus dropped me off at a diner with a working payphone. "You need anything else, you just holler," he said. I nodded and watched him disappear down the road, swallowed by dust and sun. Inside, the diner was nearly empty. A single waitress, middle-aged, tired, hair tied back in a loose bun, poured me a cup of coffee before I even asked. Maybe I looked that bad. I used the phone. Called Chloe. No answer. Called again. Voicemail. Left a message. Tried again. And again. And again. Nothing. I sat in that booth until nightfall, the coffee cold, my hands shaking. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there. Eventually, the waitress came over, slid a piece of pie in front of me. "On the house," she said. I took a bite without tasting it. Then I left. That night, I slept behind the diner under a broken awning, the stars too bright, the ground too hard. I had nowhere else to go. That became the pattern. Town to town. Shelter to shelter. I tried finding work, washing dishes, loading trucks, picking up odd jobs. Anything to survive. I stopped calling after the 3rd day. I figured if she cared, she would have answered by then. I became someone else. Not Ben the husband. Not Ben the forgotten. Just Ben. The guy who disappeared and didn't come back. For 5 years, I never heard her voice. Never saw her face. Not until she showed up. 5 years later. Out of nowhere. I was living in a trailer on the outskirts of a tiny mountain town. Quiet place. I worked nights at a hardware store, spent my mornings fishing or walking through the pines. Life wasn't good, but it was mine. That day, I came home to find a car parked in the dirt outside my trailer. New. Black. Sleek. I knew it before I even saw her face. Chloe. Standing there in a cream sweater, jeans too clean for this place, hair longer than I remembered. She looked older. Tired. But it was her. And her eyes were wide, bloodshot. "Ben," she said like it was a prayer. I didn't answer. She took a step forward, holding out her phone. 107 missed calls, she whispered. I looked at her like she was a ghost. Because to me she was. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just stared at her, the wind gently pulling at her sweater like it was trying to drag her back to wherever she came from. "I've been looking for you," she said, barely above a whisper. I scoffed, the sound dry and hollow. "Really? 5 years too late." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "I didn't know they were going to leave you. I swear, Ben, it wasn't supposed to go like that." I narrowed my eyes. "Then tell me, what was it supposed to be, Chloe? A laugh? A viral video? Leave Ben stranded and see how long he takes to cry." She opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. Her eyes darted around like she was trying to escape the memory forming in front of her. "It wasn't my idea," she finally said. "Stephanie said it'd just be a joke, that we'd come right back. But then we didn't. And you let them." My voice was low, but the fury beneath it was sharp, razor-edged. "You watched them drive off, Chloe. You sat there while they abandoned me in the middle of nowhere like I was garbage." "I froze," she said. "I panicked. I didn't want to. You didn't want to what? Hurt me. I took a step toward her now. You were always more loyal to them than to me. You laughed when they humiliated me. You let them talk to me like I didn't matter. You stood by while they chipped away at everything I was until there was nothing left. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't speak. I waited, I continued. At that gas station. For hours. Days maybe. I begged people for rides. I walked miles until my feet bled. Do you know how many times I tried to call you? She nodded slowly, ashamed. I still have the voicemails. I couldn't listen to them all. You don't deserve to, I snapped. There was silence between us. A heavy, suffocating silence, broken only by the wind scraping through the pines and the hum of her idling car. I came because I needed to see you, she said finally. Because I never stopped thinking about that day. About what we did. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Ben. I just needed you to know. I'm sorry. I looked past her, toward the mountains. The place I had slowly come to call home. The place that, in all its cold indifference, had never once lied to me. Do the others know you're here? I asked. No, she said. I cut them off a year after it happened. I couldn't live with it anymore. I still have nightmares. Good. Her eyes widened a bit at that. But I didn't care. You don't get to erase what happened, I said. You don't get to walk back into my life like it's a book you forgot to finish. I'm not trying to, she said, voice breaking. I wanted to see if you were alive. If you were okay. Well, I said, I'm alive. I'm not okay. But I'm done being the one who got left behind. I turned my back on her, walking slowly toward the trailer. My hands were trembling, but my steps were steady. I wasn't that man anymore, the one who begged, who waited, who hoped. Behind me, I heard her start to cry. A soft, broken sound that didn't move me in the slightest. And then she said it. I'm dying, Ben. I stopped. I have cancer. They gave me less than a year. I didn't turn around. I didn't come here just to say sorry, she said. I came because I want you to have something. Closure. Or answers. Or just a chance to ask what you never got to. I stood there for a long time, staring at the cracked porch of my trailer, the chipped blue paint I had always meant to fix. Finally, I turned back to face her. And for the first time in 5 years, I asked, why me? Chloe sat down on the hood of her car, folding her arms across her stomach like she was trying to keep something from spilling out. Grief, maybe. Or guilt. I don't know, she said quietly. That's the truth. I don't know why it had to be you. Maybe because they never liked how kind you were. Because you didn't try to impress them. Because you were different. Quieter. Easier to mock. She swallowed hard. I think they wanted to break something good, just to see if they could. I stared at her, watching her unravel. I wasn't strong enough to stop them, she continued. I laughed when I should have shouted. I stayed silent when I should have left. I was a coward. I stepped closer, just enough to see the red rims around her eyes, the slow damage that time and regret had carved into her. I loved you, Ben, she said, almost too soft to hear. Even then, I just didn't know how to protect you from them. Or from myself. I let those words sit in the air, heavy and raw. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part, some bitter, half-dead ember, wanted to forgive her. But the man I was 5 years ago died somewhere along that cracked highway in the sun. And this man, he didn't know her anything. What do you want from me? I asked. You show up here after 5 years and 100 missed calls. And now what? Redemption? Closure? A final confession before the end? No, she said, her voice firm despite the tremble in it. I want you to know that I paid for it. Every single day. I lost sleep. I lost friends. I lost me. I don't want anything from you, Ben. I didn't want to die with this still between us. We stood in silence, just the two of us. Two ghosts of a marriage that had long since crumbled into ash. Finally, I nodded once. I hear you, I said. That's all I've got. She gave a slow, almost grateful nod, then reached into her jacket and pulled out a small, battered envelope. I wrote you a letter the night we left you. I was too ashamed to send it. I think you should have it now. She held it out. I didn't move to take it. She walked to the porch, set it down gently on the step, and without another word, returned to her car. She looked at me one last time, eyes shining. Goodbye, Ben. The car engine started, and I watched her drive away until the dust swallowed her whole, just like it had 5 years ago. I stood there for a long while, staring at the envelope. Then I picked it up, opened it slowly. Inside, her handwriting trembled across the page. I'm sorry. For all of it. If you're reading this, you survived, and I hope you found peace in a place I never could give you. You deserved more. You always did. I folded the letter and slipped it into my jacket. That night, I sat on the porch, listening to the wind in the trees, feeling a strange, quiet stillness settle in my chest. It wasn't closure. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was enough. And for the first time in years, I slept without dreaming of the road behind me. FIM.